Good morning, everybody. Today's topic is about environment changes for eBay. So one thing I was thinking about, and I've been trying to describe this last week, was if you keep thinking the same way and doing the same things and are in the same environment, then your results will be the same. But most people want different results. So in our group, we talk a lot about the book Atomic Habits and creating habits because you're essentially the result of all the habits that you have. So today, I just wanted to talk about some environment changes that people can go through. Maybe you guys can throw them in the chat, or if you want to chat, raise your hand. If you're on YouTube, maybe put it in the chat and I'll repeat it for people. But I want to talk about different environment changes that have affected you and helped you with your store. So for me personally, I think because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to start another e-commerce store, and I'm wondering, I think ideally it would not be at home. I do like the idea of a 30 item a day listing habit at home, but I'm not sure that I want an eBay store again, that I have to do everything. I think I would, from the beginning, want to set it up so that someone can help me. So either when I go on vacation, somebody can help me ship, or I was thinking about my perfect work environment, and my perfect work environment personally is not working alone. It's also not working on Zoom. My perfect work environment would not be waking up, turning on my Zoom call, and then 8 hours of Zoom. I don't think I would like that. I want to work in person with people. So because that's my the way that I like to work, then I would approach reselling differently, because I don't want to do it by myself. I would want somebody with me. And if I want somebody with me, then there's a lot more work because you have to pay for that person. So that's something to consider. Yesterday, I asked the question, why do you resell? And there are so many answers, and everyone's answer is different. And that really blew me away. Hundreds of people responded on YouTube and on the Facebook group of why they resell. And I asked my wife, because I'm not really sure why I resell. I thought it was literally because Reezy Resells told me to in 2017. But my wife says that my entire life, or the entire time she's known me, I've always been passionate about sales, not necessarily trying to be the best like tech, because the way that he approaches it, it's pretty obvious that he wants to be the best. That's a different approach than for me. For me, I'm passionate about selling, not necessarily what the products are. I've never been into the products, as I've never known the most about the items. So as an example, when I worked at Lexus, I never knew the most about the cars. I knew a lot about the cars, but I wouldn't read every single magazine that comes in and keep up with every single update. And that wasn't really my style. I didn't know everything, and I wasn't the top salesperson. I was always number two. So I think that I'm looking for like 95% proficiency. Each level that, and this is why it sort of feels unattainable for me to get to the next level, because once you get to a certain point, improving, each incremental improvement is a lot more extra work. Like to get to that next level, to get to the point where you're making some money reselling, I think it would take 1 to 6 months. To make a full-time living, it might take a couple of years to get all your systems in place, meet all the people. Yesterday in text call, there's a couple of things. One, his knowledge is so all-encompassing. When you look at a category and he knows so many item specifics, you can tell that person is an expert. On the other side, there was a lady saying that on social media, she saw somebody buy something for 20,000 and sell for 200,000. That's so unrealistic, because that's not how it works. There's so many different levels to this, and I hopefully people don't believe everything on the internet. It's just different. Liquidation is what's left. Liquidation is not the best stuff the store has that they sell for 90% off to you. So I was asking, would I sell even if I did not know the result, or do you sell for the success of the effort? So I guess I like to figure out how to get the sale, but I'm not trying to get the most sales. That's why I was, last night was a good conversation with my wife, because I was trying to figure out, like I'm having a life crisis, not sure what I'm doing, right? And she's like, you've always been passionate about sales, but you've never wanted to be the best, because that's different. When I think of people who are trying to be the best, those people are relentless. Like, no matter what, they reach their goal. That's not really my style, and I don't know. There's not really that many people like that. So for me, I'm passionate about sales. I want to know how it works. I want to know what people are looking for. That's why in car sales, you don't need to know the most about cars. All you need to know is the customer, right? I told you guys, like, the question that helped me make, I think I sold, let's see. In 4 years of car sales, I sold $40 million worth of cars. And all of that was from, welcome to the dealership. What brings you here? How do you normally buy a car? They tell me how they normally buy a car. I look at how I can present that to them. Actually, most of this is over the phone since I was internet sales. But when they finally came in, that's what I did. But all of my sales were on the internet. And then with eBay, it's the same. I think about how can I get a sale? Put myself in the customer's shoes. But I just think everyone needs to take some time and think about what it takes to be the best. And copy that as much as possible, and your results will be amazing. Because you don't want to copy someone who's barely getting by. You want to copy the best. So environment changes for me. I think that separating work from home is so important. If you're doing it at home, at least have a different area. Patty's saying, why not become a wholesale distributor? Being a wholesale distributor is a bit different. Like, you could either be, I don't want to be a trucking company, and I don't want to be a big warehouse. That's too much overhead for me. I don't know how to do that. That's like millions of dollars. So I like small business. I went to school for business, and they taught me how to raise money. And at this point, I know how to do that, but I wouldn't know where to put it. I was looking at swap.com yesterday. I'm going to do a review of their store. It might be the worst eBay store I've ever seen. They spent $33 million starting their eBay store. It has 10 photo stations. Each photo station costs $20,000. That's $200,000. And they have the worst pictures I've ever seen. They have one or two pictures. They have this insane state-of-the-art building that's like Amazon, with everything is conveyor belts. Everything has those crazy things, but then they also have a super duper high defect rate. They lose 1 out of every 20 orders, right? 200 people work there. 200 people work there, and they sell less than tech with 3 people, right? I can do that. I know how to rate, but like, it would just be wasteful. I wouldn't even know what to do with $33 million to start an eBay store. I'd have to do what Patty says and buy a giant building and hire 200 people. It'd be so hard to even spend that kind of money. Lori says the 80%, the 80-20 rule. Yes, so Pareto's principle. Most of eBay is just a few environment changes, right? So you'd have to, I think a comfortable workstation, ship station, listing area. Try not to have a lot of things that get in the way. You can produce a high level podcast with just the onboard microphone on your computer or phone. If you plug in an external microphone, one more level up, but you don't need an expensive $20,000 podcast studio to make a podcast. So I think it's really important to have environment changes to help you, because you are the result of your thinking. So if you're around negative people, of course, you're going to have to think extra hard to get to that next level. Brian's saying it would be hard to be that bad. I think it's just when you think about scale, hire another person. So many companies fall victim to scaling without thinking about the customer. Buying a $20,000 photo station doesn't mean you get better pictures for the customer. Plus One Thrifting says she hasn't sold on eBay in a while, but wants to try again because there's so much art I need to sell. So I'll give you guys I don't want to like be disparaging against. Wait, go ahead, Bill. You have a question? She just unmuted. This lady sent me pictures of her storage unit. She pays $1,500 a month to store around, I'd say around 7,500 items. She doesn't have anything listed. She pays $1,500 a month for stuff that she has thrifted over the years and not sold. She asked me what to do with it. So I said, I think what we should do is have a giant garage sale, right? So put everything in a truck, go out into a field, advertise the garage sale, and whatever you can sell, and whatever doesn't sell, take it to the thrift store, donate it, call it a day. You no longer need to pay $1,500 a month. That's the best way to handle this. So much that you're paying every single month. That's such a big bill. It's like a mortgage for some people. And she's like, well, how do I find all the buyers? There's so many people in the Bay Area. It's like there's no one who resells. I'm like, there's no one that resells in California. All you have to do is post an ad, something for sale that's a good deal, and tons of people will message you. Tons of people. Post something for 30% off what it sells for, you will sell it. Anything local. That's like a good barometer. If you post something on Craigslist for free and nobody responds, that's not a desirable item. Because we forget that we don't need eBay. eBay is nice, but because it lets you manage a store, but if it's a desirable item, you just need to add. So I put, let's take some pictures of your items and post it on Craigslist and see who responds, right? So she took all these beautiful pictures, posted it on Craigslist, 0 response. No one wants it. It's all 30, 40-year-old furniture, out of style. It's all bulky. It was like, I almost think it would be cheaper to just call 1-800-GOT-JUNK and pay $1,000 to throw it away, because it would cost money to put it to bring it all into a big field to do a garage sale. And I just worry because she's invested so much money. She probably spent $25,000 on buying the stuff, and she's paying $1,500 a month to store it, and hurts my feelings, man. It's so much. She doesn't list. So that environment is, well, one thing that is interesting is that it's really beautiful in her storage unit. It's organized really well. It's like, these are the hats, these are the lamps, these are the furniture, this is mid-century, these are the jewelry, this is the shoes, this is the clothes. Looks beautiful. She's thrifting by herself, yeah. Why do you ask that, Christine?
Well, I wonder, sometimes people, how old of a person is she?
She's in her 50s, I guess.
Is she single?
She's single.
I'm wondering if she goes thrifting to talk to people, to get some socialization.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because obviously, I mean, there's organized hoarders. If her home isn't like that, then it's possible that she's just lonely.
She's not in the group. And she,
Oh, I guess that's a good idea, huh?
yeah,
She's a,
she's not in the group, but she doesn't resell.
yeah.
There's just so much pressure because it's like I mean most people can't. I mean that's a lot of money, $1,500 a month every month for storage costs. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Um, Zach is asking, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was Julie said she felt attacked, but I didn't know if she was joking or not. I didn't mean to alienate her if I did.
Um, okay, so I told my wife that maybe I resell just because it's something to do because I couldn't think of a good reason. And she's like, would you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day if it was just something to do? I don't think so. I think you actually like it. If you didn't actually like it, you wouldn't wake up that early every day. Like I've not missed the flea market ever since I started going. So um I think to a certain degree you have to be passionate, but I'm more passionate about selling than I am the items. So because that's my point. It doesn't really matter what it is. I would sell toilet seats if it was something I had a good supply of. Zach is saying he averages 20 sales a day and he lists 30 a day. So this is comfortable. So anytime, in my opinion, you sell more than half of your listing goal, you're in a good position. If you double your money and you sell more than half your listing goal, then you have enough money to pay for new items and put some money in the bank. It's a really good place. So Zach is saying, do you think I should hire someone to help me ship and increase my listing goal? Technically, yes, that's what tech would say. But if you're comfortable with 30 a day and you make enough money from the, let's say 15 pays the bills, and so you have 5 sales a day of profit, you could invest that into a passive stream, certainly. So let me share something with you guys. This is where I'm torn. Sorry for talking so much. But all the money in the US is made in business. That's where all the money comes from. But small business has a 95% failure rate. Okay. So I'm wondering, like, my wife was like, why are you so worried about that every day? Because you're one of the 5% that made it. You have a profitable small business. And I'm torn because, like, is it survivorship bias? Is what I have just 100%, or is what I have mostly luck and most people can't do this? Because small business doesn't really work. But then that being said, all the money is made by people doing business. So the reason why I bring that up is Zach is asking, should he invest in passive income? Where I live, people are rich not because they're business people. It's because they're good at their job and they invest their money into another business that succeeds. So if you think about this 95% of businesses fail. The Fortune 500 is the 500 most profitable companies in America. If you do an index fund and you just invest in the top 500 companies, in my brain, I'm thinking that's better than reselling. Because reselling, you have a 95% chance of failure. Most people don't even turn a profit. But the Fortune 500, there's like every single one of them has 10,000 people in it trying to make it as profitable as possible. The smartest people in the world work there, right? So is it better for everyone right now to get a job, work overtime, or resell as much as possible and put that money into a, I don't want to call it, I mean, let's just call it a real company. Not saying that what we do is not real, but a company that has like a million things going for it to be profitable versus us. It's like, would you rather put your money into Brian, who's selling jeans and clothes and shoes, or Apple? Right? It's just such an interesting conundrum. And then my wife also said, she's very wise. Um, yeah, is it survivorship bias? That I think, I guess I have a weird survivorship bias because I made it, but I feel like not everybody can. Um,
Chris, I
But
think
go
I
ahead.
prefer to put my money into something that I have control over. If you put your money into somebody else's business,
Mhm.
you have no control over what's going on.
That's fair. And also, my wife said that the reason why I picked small business is that there's no ceiling. Like you can make as much as you want. It's um because my wife knew me when I had a job, and she said it always bothered me, like I could do more and not get paid more. A lot of people said in the chat when I asked why do you resell, they said that they want to be rewarded for their effort. So they're like, if I'm going to do a bad job and I don't make any money, at least it's my fault. But if I do a good job, I want to make good money. I don't want to be at my job where every single year they add 20% of work and pay me 1% more, because that's what happens.
Can I throw something in there? For the young man who was talking about hiring somebody, is it time to hire? And I think that it gets kind of scary for me to think that if you do hire somebody and you start doubling your daily listing goal, and then that person's no longer there, having a contingency plan for that is probably for me the biggest hurdle to hiring somebody, because people don't last forever, and that you've lost a lot of employees, and I think that's, to me, the biggest challenging thing. So there isn't a ceiling, so to speak, but there's a barrier that's very, very hard to overcome. And a lot of it might even depend on where you live in the country, if staffing properly. So I think that the finding what's most comfortable for you at your max, list 20, sell 20, list 30. That was like, I'm thinking that's pretty comfortable. That's pretty comfortable. And that you can do that for the rest of your life, but hiring somebody else changes the whole game, and not always in a good way.
That's fair. Yeah, that's right. So Luke says Alex Hermosi calls it the SMEs rather than the S&P. Yeah, I agree with that. Also, I like Alex Hermosi. A lot of people listen to him and he's just come out of nowhere. But he says there's 4 things you can do to scale, right? And I agree with this because I'm beginning my journey on that, which is number one is you scale using somebody else's time, right? So if you have somebody helping you, you have a nanny, you have a gardener, you have a housekeeper, any of these things, you're leveraging somebody else's time to help you, right? That totally is a thing. So if you write down somebody else's time, that's leverage. Number 2 is somebody else's money. I'm doing that because I have a mortgage. I didn't pay for the entire house at once, right? The bank gave me their money. So that's leverage. Or you could borrow money to start a business and leverage somebody else's money in theory, but that's just dangerous. Then there's content. So everyone in the group is working towards producing content. Nancy, I got your email on how to collaborate. So I'm going to be doing more collaborations on my channel. And I know what I want now. After talking to Margaret yesterday, I know exactly what questions I want to ask. So anybody that wants to be on my YouTube channel, these are the questions that I'm going to ask you. You guys ready? I'm going to ask you, how many hours do you want to work on reselling per day? Okay, so do you want to work 3 hours a day? Do you want to work 16 hours a day? How many hours do you want to work a day? How many listings do you want to sell each day? That should be related to how much money you want to make. So how many hours, how many listings do you want? How much money do you want to make? What platforms do you sell on? Right? Is it Amazon? Is it whatnot? Where do you sell your items? Next, what is your perfect reseller day in the life? Is it wake up and do it? Is it do it whenever you feel like it? What does that look like? The next one is, what do you source and how? I don't need to know what you buy, because that's secretive in the reselling world. But what do you source and where do you get it? Next is, what does your work environment look like? Like, that's why I recommended separating work and home environment. Next is, do you work well alone or with somebody? Right? That's a thing. Do you like to work with other people? Do you want to work by yourself? Next is, how do you balance personal life and work? Right? Are you, I just realized that I'm kind of like, I don't care about birthdays. I think birthdays are stupid. You didn't earn anything. Why do you celebrate? You didn't do anything. You're just born that day, so now everyone needs to stop their day and go to your party. I thought like that's such a weird thing. But to my brother, this is like his jam. His birthday is like the day. He does whatever he wants on his birthday. And it's like his thing. He loves it. He super duper values his birthday. And I'm like, bro, you realize you can do that every day. Every day could be your birthday. How come you have 364 days of misery and on your birthday it's awesome? Why can't you just do that every day? And he's like so offended by this concept because he thinks birthdays are super duper special. So now I'm thinking about how dumb am I trying to like force my values on him. He doesn't care. That's like how he is. So whatever is important to you for the work-life balance, that has to be important to you. Yeah, it's just like, and maybe I'm spoiled because my birthday is on Christmas. So everyone takes my birthday off, right? And my parents, since they didn't speak English, that's why I'm named Chris. Pretty straightforward. So it's interesting looking at work-life balance. You got to figure out what's important to you. If you want to take your birthday off, then have schedule listings for your birthday so you can take it off. Next is, why do you resell? How did you get started reselling? Because it was super interesting that Margaret got started selling jewelry with men's jewelry, cufflinks and tie bars. That's a cool story because like maybe you stumble into selling something, right? Next is, what's your biggest tip for other resellers? Which for me, it would be doing a schedule. And then what would be the best way to reach you? So that is going to be my collaboration. I'm actually going to drive to San Jose right after this and test this with Sarah Stiles. Sarah Stiles is here talking to eBay. So I'm going down to eBay headquarters after this. Not invited by them, obviously, since I'm suspended, but I'll be going down there to record an interview with her, and I want to ask her these questions. So I asked the audience on YouTube how much of reselling is luck, and most people say that less than 25% of reselling is luck. That's interesting. Plus one thrifting said she started reselling because her mom didn't want to resell by herself. Quite a few people started reselling because their parents died and they had to sell their stuff, and that turned into a reselling thing. It's pretty common. Yeah, schedule. Layla, that would be my biggest tip for resellers is have a schedule. Because I think people confuse flexible with don't have to do it. Right? Like, oh, I want a flexible work schedule. I think what you really want is to not work.
Not that you don't have to have a schedule. Like I've talked about this several times in the group that I came in this, got like, oh, this is great. I don't have to have a schedule. But now I look at it like you have to have a schedule, but you can make it yourself. You don't have some other boss creating your schedule for you, another company. You can, but the schedule is vital. But you can have some flexibility in there. If you got to go to a kid's baseball game or something like that, a recital, you can work around that. You don't have to get confirmation from somebody else.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. That's what flexibility really means. It means you can work whenever you can work during the time of day that suits you the most. That's exactly what it is. Like your daughter has a softball game and it's at 10 in the morning and there might be another game at 4 o'clock if they win. You can take the whole day off and you can get work done before she wakes up and be at peace, or you could do work before and schedule it ahead and take the entire day off. Like That's flexibility, but you still have to work either before or after. There's no like, and it's easier when you do the same thing. That's why yesterday I posted, I don't resell because of the flexible schedule, because my schedule is not flexible. Paul lists 100 to 400 per hour. Nice. That's a trading card game. Paul sells cards. And yeah, I think that a fully optimized card seller could list 1,000 per day. One person. It would take all day and you'd have to have everything set up. But I'm just saying, like, if you were fully optimized into scan listing all similar items, you could go that high. Zach would rather list than ship. For me personally, I really enjoy shipping, and the listing part I actually like more than photos, because photos is so physical for clothing. So that's why, okay, I don't know if you guys remember, but approximately 1 year ago, I switched to the same person photographs and lists. So I was doing one person doing 140 photos a day, the other person doing 140 listings a day, right? I separated. And this is a disaster because if one person didn't come, the flow would be all screwed up. But when I switched to photographer to half photos, half listing, she killed it and she loved her job. And the lister could not take the photo. She quit. That's, because going from listing to photos is horrible, but going from photos to listing is easy. Let's see, who is the biggest UK reseller? I don't know any in the group that are big in the UK, but I'm sure there are big UK sellers. I wonder if Music Magpie would hang out. Plus one thrifting says that self-discipline, you have to have self-discipline to be consistent with selling. That's true. Immortality says he or she ships jewelry in padded envelopes in 40 seconds as well. Yeah, I think that if you can ship without tape, right? So you ship in padded envelopes and you just have one plastic thing to flick or poly mailers, it saves so much time. It's crazy. That's one of the reasons why I didn't outsource shipping for so long, because it was so fast. It was the fastest part of the day. Kyle says that no one wants to ship in a hot storage unit. My storage unit can get hot and cold, and I just try to ship as fast as possible so that I don't have to be in that environment. Kyle has 25,000 listings. Bro, I got you beat. I met Mr. Buys a Lot last week. I don't know if I shared that with you guys. He has 175,000 listings on eBay, right? 175,000 items on eBay, 3 million unlisted items. He offered it to me for $1 million. So Tech was trying to do the math on how you would list 1 million items. Couldn't do it. It's too much. I don't think you could do it in your lifetime. 1 million random items. So I'm going to have Mr. Buys a Lot come on the channel, but 175,000 listings. I'm going to look at his eBay store real quick.
He sells a lot of ephemera.
Yeah.
So he could have, 60,000 movie posters, in a back of a room someplace that doesn't take that much room because it's, they're all stacked on top of each other.
Mm-hmm. So he sells, looks like 10 a day. With 173,000 listings, and he sells 10 items a day. I was worried because I thought I was a little bit rude to him, which was on accident, because I was like, he wanted to partner with me. He's like, I'll do all the buying, you do all the selling. And I was thinking, I don't know if I could do that because I can't sell as fast as you're buying. I would never be able to outpace you because, he had all these different opportunities and he wanted to focus on what he does best, which is buying. But 175,000 listings and sells 10 a day. And yes, of course, some of them are small ephemera, paper cards, but that's still a lot of listings. It's a lot.
He also sells a lot on Facebook auctions.
Yeah, he does. And
Right.
YouTube auctions.
Yeah.
He sells a lot of different ways and it has really deep connections. And you don't buy 1 million items or 3 million items overnight. That takes decades. So Philip says define good at buying. I mean, like he's really good at buying stuff, not connections. Like he'll find a way to buy it all.
But what does he have? I mean, how much storage does he need for that many not unsold items? I mean,
I think 6,600 square feet.
and I mean, what does it cost? I mean, he's selling how many a day? I'm confused.
He sells 10 a day and buys 1,000 a day.
But how much is he selling those 10 a day for? Is he making like gobs of money on them?
No, that's
I
like
don't get it.
20
I don't get that
bucks.
business model. Is that even a model?
Oh, it's the most common model. I think the most common model in reselling is to buy more than you list. He's just a bit more extreme, and I'm glad that I was able to talk to him last week because I felt like I was a little bit rude to him because when I got the email, I was like, hell no, I'm not gonna. I get to sell all the stuff you buy. That's the offer you're making. I don't even. It's every single week. It's random. I don't want that job. So anyway, I was glad I was able to meet him because to hear his side of the story. He sells on lots of different platforms, but the majority of his day is just buying. That's why he's Mr. Buys a lot. So just a lot. This is his store. I'll put it in the chat for everyone. It's interesting. It's huge. That might be the biggest store of a regular person. Biggest store in items. You know, he spends a lot because, like, if you look at his Instagram, he's got a bunch of different stuff that he buys. Yeah, see, Kyle says he wants to be Mr. Sells a lot. That's what Tex said also. That's a lot of. I don't even know how you list that many. He does still do YouTube, yeah. There were 75 reselling influencers there, I would guess, at FlipCon. A lot of people who resell and do social media there. It was really interesting. He definitely has some money. I don't know where it came from. But here's the thing. I don't sell in these categories. What if 175,000 postcards is only $5,000? Right? Then I mean only $5,000, but it's like a reasonable amount that somebody could afford. And 6,600 square feet, I think that's a pretty large space. He's in Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right, Daniel. He's doing what most resellers do, just at a larger scale. So, guys, the podcast that we posted a few days ago, the storage podcast, reseller storage podcast, where you just acquire as many items as possible. We just made that podcast because we wanted to try to make an extreme example. But if I tell, like Jen, if I tell you that Mr. Buys a Lot spends buys 1,000 items a day, but only lists 10 a day, what kind of reaction do you have?
Say that again. Buys how many a day?
1,000.
And sells 10.
Lists and sells 10, but buys 1,000.
I just think that he's running into a problem, like you said, that I run into, which is that I have more inventory than I have listed, and I'm not making any money on it. I'm losing money because I have to store it. I mean, even if he had a big barn in Pennsylvania, he's out 990 items that he's not making any money for every single day.
Yeah.
Even if he had free storage.
Yeah.
That is not a healthy model unless those 10 items are worth so much money that, and if he's getting these items for free, don't know what his cost basis is.
But why does he have to sell for a lot of money? Or if it's worth a lot of money, does that make it okay?
Not if it's just sitting there and you're not making anything back.
Yeah.
Is it appreciating in value? That's the only thing that makes any sense to sit on it.
Well, here's the thing. I said, okay,
Oh.
what happens? Let's say I write you a check for $1 million. Then what happens? And he's like, I have all these other deals lined up. And I was like, wow, he would just go straight into buying again. So he would be in the same situation in a few years. So it's
sellers
interesting.
love him. Sellers love him.
Sellers
because
love
he's
him,
gonna
yeah.
buy everything.
So yeah, I should have been nicer. I should have said, I have a whole bunch of stuff that you can buy from me. It's a great deal. Because he would
So
be ready. He's always buying.
What are the questions that you would ask him if you were to interview him on your YouTube channel?
Yeah. No, what would I ask him?
Yeah.
I guess, what does he get out of buying? Is it emotionally charged? When you buy something, does it make you feel better?
The first question is, are you broke? I mean, seriously.
You would ask that?
Like, I would want to know, how are you broke? I mean, if you're definitely buying every day and losing every day.
Yeah, because he's only selling 10 a day. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I wondered is, does he have off-platform sales that he's making that aren't included in those 10?
No, he does, but it's not as much as he buys. Eric?
Or do you realize you've got a terrible addiction problem? That's what I would ask him.
Yeah. He's really nice. So, yeah, it was a lot. It was intense. I met so many people that I've interviewed. I met Ryan. Remember when we interviewed that 12-year-old kid or 11-year-old? He's 12 now. He was like 10 when he came on the podcast. So many interesting things. Robert left his job to sell on eBay. That's great. Immortality wants to sell only digital products. Digital products scale faster, and it's just difficult compared to a physical products business. It's different. It's different. There are pros and cons to both, since I have both. Dixie Girl says about 6 months ago, something changed on eBay. eBay changes pretty much every day, but most likely if your sales slow down, it's because you're listing the exact same items over and over again, or the listing qualities have gone down. Because everyone today could start listing some hot items and they would start selling. Yeah, definitely. That it's the same model too. Ryan and his dad go out and get stuff together, and they get a better deal because Ryan is there, the kid. That makes sense though. If you brought your kids with you, you would get a better deal. In my opinion, it makes sense. Eric, what's up?
So I getting back to the question, or kind of the conversation we had after you got back from FlipCon, as you mentioned that most of the people there were not really, successful, or not really doing great at the reselling side. So, which leads the question, okay, so are they making their money more so on being content creators and YouTubers? So it's almost chicken or the egg. Were they first resellers that then got popular and became influencers, or were they already influencing, then they got into the reselling game? And if you answer that question, then which one would you recommend or feel that is more profitable? Which one's the path of least resistance, let's say?
That's a good question. I would say that there were 75 YouTubers, in my opinion, that went to FlipCon that have a YouTube channel and resell. I would say of the 75, only 5 make $50,000 or more on social media. So not like a full-time living, only 5 of them. So not too many people make a full-time living. And of the 5, some of them have expenses for YouTube, travel, maybe a videographer, maybe an editor. So
Which are the 5?
What?
Which were the 5 that made good money?
I would guess Harry Tornado makes good money. I would guess Phoenix Resale makes good money. Hustle at Home Mom makes good money. I make good money on social media. I bet Commonwealth Picker makes good money. Everybody else, I would assume, makes between $20,000 and $50,000, which for a full-time effort, because social media is very hard, I don't know if that's worth it. I think you would make more at Starbucks. But I think that the enjoyment that people get from reselling and putting together a YouTube channel is very, very, very high. That would be my guess. Like, you wouldn't work on something so much and share so much without there being some kind of payoff outside of money. I would guess that's from who I would guess is the most successful at the conference, but I don't know, because there were so many of them, and some people have channels that are super, super duper monetized. Like dealing with Dalton, he sells $5,000 a month of his shoe product, his shoe trees. So I don't know what the profit margin is on that. Maybe that's an excellent model. Maybe those shoe trees are very cheap and they sell for a lot and there's a great margin. So maybe his brand of shoe tree is worth a lot. I don't know. You can't meet people in one day to get all the information from them, but what comes first? You can resell and make money right now. It will take you several years to make money on social media. It's totally different. You can make a full-time living your first year reselling. It's like, it rounds to zero, the people who make a full-time living on YouTube within the first year. It's almost impossible. You'd have to come from a background related to media and content to do that, Brian.
Do you think that the people who bought tickets to attend this FlipCon, what were they there for?
Networking.
So they weren't there to learn how to sell on platforms.
Definitely. No, that wasn't how it was advertised. That's why I liked FlipCon. It wasn't come here and learn how to resell. It was come here and network and meet resellers. It worked. I met tons of resellers. It wasn't designed to go there and learn. All of the conferences I've been to before this, I've been to 10. The 9 before this, they tried, like the point of it was come here and learn something on the side, meet as many people as possible. This was the opposite. So
it just seems ostensibly if you're there to teach people how to make money selling on platforms, but you're really not making a living at it. It reminds me of the 90s when the infomercials were to how to sell real estate and how to get rich at real estate. And really those guys were making money on infomercials.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that's not how it was advertised. Because that conference, when you go, they hard sell you something at the end. This one didn't have anything. There was no sales. No one pitched their product. I didn't even mention our group. Like it wasn't, we weren't there to sell anything. I went and saw Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Tony Robbins. It was $60. $60 to listen to Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, like all these amazing $1 million entrepreneurs. It cost $60. FlipCon was $300, right? The reason is because when I went to that $60 conference, they corralled you through like 10 different people who hard sold you a $20,000 course. Like you have to walk through this area where they try and sell you stuff. That's how $60 to go see all these people. And it was in a gigantic, 50,000 person auditorium in San Jose. So, and that's different where they try to sell you something. So yeah, Lisa says Lavender Clothesline. Yeah, Lavender Clothesline does really well too. That's Karen. I met her. I've met her many times before. Karen's cool. I don't know though if she makes 50,000 or more on YouTube. I would guess 20 to 50. That would be my guess. Maybe she earns more than that. I know that her YouTube pays her mortgage, but I don't think her mortgage is over 5,000. So, and she's really good at it. So, it takes time to build a social media following. You can sell something immediately. Yeah, all of the Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, all those conferences are really cheap. They're like between $50 and $100. And Grant Cardone, I want whatever he's smoking. He's like in his 60s. Oh my God. That guy is like, okay, forget if you like him or not. He's doing something physically that I want. Because like he took his shirt off on stage. He was walking around. And I'm like, this guy is like that's what you want. You want to have money and energy. Gary Vee looks like he's dying. He's like totally gray. He doesn't look healthy at all. I want whatever Grant Cardone is smoking, whatever money you get for being in Scientology or whatever he's doing, that whatever that is doing is working, because that guy has more energy than Tony Robbins too. Of course, Tony Robbins is larger than life. He's like 6'5" and this huge person. He's cool, but he's not youthful. Like Grant Cardone is youthful. He's like a guy in his 20s, but he's in his 60s. There's something there that is unbelievable. That was worth $60 just to see him be like that. It also costs $2,000 to $5,000 to have lunch with them. So when you have lunch with them, you can film, you can ask one question, and you can get an autograph. And those were all sold out with all those people. So that's how they make it worth it for them to go. Yeah, that was like, it cost $60 to meet them. And Grant Cardone, my God, there's no way he looks like he's in his 60s.
He sounds annoying. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
want to be
yeah.
around
Well,
this 60-year-old who's like strutting around like a peacock.
oh man, it was like, well, he's
The
go ahead.
The one that I think sounds super annoying is Tony Robbins. I think that guy is a cyborg. I swear to God, he's so big. His head is
He's
too
so
big,
big.
and his voice is just crazy. He's got a lot of energy.
That guy
He's
is
probably
awesome.
70, isn't he?
I don't know how old that guy is, but it was awesome. I want to be like that when I'm old. I would love to have that kind of energy. I don't need to speak on stage, but the energy that Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins have is insane. Like, just, can you imagine? Like, he talks about being on stage for 10 hours in a row. Just like, it's unbelievable.
The one that hasn't aged well at all is Kiyosaki. Oh my God.
Yeah, that guy is, well, I know that guy, all his messaging is negative. And I think that makes you unhealthy. Because like his videos are like
super political.
The rich keep you poor. If you just said that over and over again, you'd probably age really fast because it's so negative. Like, I don't think that's a good, like, this is what keeps you poor. The rich keep you down. If you just say that over and over again for 20 years, you're gonna look like you're 100 years old. That's not a healthy, it's not a good, but that's the message. And it's true that richer people, like your rich dad, if that person even exists, for Rich Dad Poor Dad, he would say, put your money in more leveraged things like real estate businesses. That makes sense, right? But you don't need to tell people that rich people are keeping you down every day. That would wear on you.
I do have to remind these guys got the money where they're getting like stem cell
I know
stem cell research and stuff. I mean, they're getting like top notch, like brand new, cutting edge, like medicine and like, yeah.
I want
maybe there's something to Scientology, because Tom Cruise looks like he's 35.
I know there's something to
70.
it. I want the juice. I need to figure out what I just, the energy level is so contagious. I don't care if he's annoying. I just want to have the I want to be like that when I'm in my 60s. It's just so cool. It's really cool. He
So
might be an
right now-
alien. That's true. Go ahead.
So to my knowledge, in Scientology, they make you go through these psychological events, so to speak, and you're actually laying down while people are around you and they're talking you through these events. And each time you do that, it's a certain amount of money. Let's say the first one is around $5,000. The next one that you do supposedly goes deeper into your soul and removes more negativity from your thinking and your physical body. And then you go to the next level, which is 20,000, 40,000. So every level you go to, it's a money suck. It's a money suck. But, you know,
But they don't do that to the stars like Tom Cruise. He doesn't get treated
they do.
the same way. He's like a spokesperson.
It's the religion. That's what they do. It's their religion. That's their process. That's their ritual, so to speak.
I just want to end this today's conversation with the energy thing. I think that everyone wants that. Everyone wants a lot of energy. So please design a life that makes you excited. It's just important because and Beth is right. It might be the ultimate form of peacocking because Grant Cardone's like 5'6". He's a pretty short guy, right? And Gary Vee is kind of a short guy. Tony Robbins is kind of the exception to the rule because he's like very tall and he's an enormous person. But a lot of the motivational type people are really short. And but I don't care. All that put aside, I want to be so excited about my life that's what they're like. That's so cool. I think Grant Cardone might love himself more than anyone I've seen. And I appreciate that. I want people to love themselves. It's just, I want to be around that. I love it.
Does he love himself or does he need positive reinforcement all the
I think
time?
he loves himself. He
Okay.
is in, he digs himself. He was on stage just like, I don't need this. I don't need any of you. I've made it. And it was just like, to see how old is he? Somebody Google how old Grant Cardone is. He's definitely in his 60s.
You know, I can see why. I know, like, that's one of the first guys Tech always talks about he came across. And like the difference in him and Tony Robbins is like some people might need Tony Robbins more. They might need to get deeper. But like I was watching Grant Cardone just like on a post, I think 2 days ago, where there was like a guy at a university, a salesman trying to give him a sales pitch. And he just kept giving all this info. And Grant Cardone just kept saying, no, too much, until literally he's like, I don't need your last name. I don't need like, but he was very about, long story short, he was just about simplicity. Like you're just overthinking it. Cut it down. And that's why he can 10X everything. Cause it's like, it's 10X of stuff that's straight to the point. Not one thing that's just way over thought out. It's like, just, aim at something and go get it.
Yeah, and also for Isaiah, young buck, we'll call the YouTube call. We're gonna switch into our beginner call, guys.